divine personality. Go there. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2,
Fourth
3.
para.
Yeah.
Fourth paragraph.
That's right. The nature of the personality. So, Archana, you start.
Yes, Ranga. The nature of philosophical intellect is to move among ideas and to give them a sort of abstract reality of their own, apart from all their concrete representations which affect our life and personal consciousness. Its bent is to reduce these representations to their barest and most general terms and to subtilize even these, if possible, into some final abstraction. The pure intellectual direction travels away from life. In judging things, it tries to get back from their effects on our personality and to arrive at whatever general and impersonal truth may be behind them. It is inclined to treat that kind of truth as the only real truth of being, or at least as the one superior and permanent power of reality. Therefore, it is bound by its own nature to end in its extremes at an absolute impersonality and an absolute abstraction. This is where the ancient philosophies ended. They reduced everything to three abstractions: existence, consciousness, and bliss of being. And they tended to get rid of the two of these three, which seemed dependent on the first and most abstract, and to throw all back into a pure, featureless existence from which everything else had been discharged. All representations, all values, except the one infinite and timeless fact of being. But the intellect had still one further possible step to take, and it took in and it took it in Buddhistic philosophy. It found that even this final fact of existence was only a representation. It abstracted that also and got to an infinite zero, which might be either a void or an external inexpressive.
Okay, so he has already told us, we just started the chapter last time, and the question being discussed here is the personal aspect of the divine and the impersonal aspect of the divine. So the impersonal aspect of the divine, normally, that's the end of the path of Jnana Yoga. You go through you make your mind silent and you see the reality by Vichara and Viveka. These are the two things of the Jnana Yoga path. You think out that what is the reality and what is not the reality. Use your discrimination. Viveka is a discrimination. This is not real, this is real. So by that method, you go to the abstraction and you end up in the Satchidananda consciousness. So, and the other one, the divine personality, is a very big problem for those who are intellectually inclined. We discussed that last time. Okay, the Ramakrishna and Totapuri incident, very interesting and it allows you to understand the problem very clearly. They do. So, this is what he is discussing, and he has already told us that devotion is very difficult to understand for the human mind. How can God have a form? It's not possible because his form is limitation. So this is a big problem. Probably he himself also faced to a certain extent because he is intellectually inclined right from the beginning. Okay. But when he came back to India, that problem was ceased. Yeah? After Baroda, that problem ceased for him because he was constantly seeing the personal aspect of the divine. To such an extent that interaction with Krishna in jail all the time. So, with this background, we start reading now what he said. The nature of the philosophical intellect is to move among ideas and to give them a sort of abstract reality of their own and personal consciousness. Wait, I missed a line, sorry. The nature of the philosophical intellect is to move among ideas and to give them a sort of abstract reality of their own, apart from all their concrete representations which affect our life and personal consciousness. Apart from, because Sat, Chit, Shakti, Ananda, Chit is consciousness and Ananda is something psychological, whereas the philosophy does not deal with psychology, not with emotions, it does not deal. That's why, very interesting, see carefully what he's saying. He's saying, and to give them the sort of abstract reality of their own, it's only ideas in the mind, okay? From their, apart from their concrete representations. For instance, the representation of Sat would be matter. The representation of Chit would be consciousness. The representation of force would be the power that you see in the physical world, and also Ananda with the emotional aspect. So all these the physical representations of all these things you eliminate and only concentrate on the abstract concepts. That's what we're saying, which affect our life and personal consciousness. Its bent is to reduce these representations to their barest. Which are the representations? Just now we discussed. Matter, consciousness, which is all its knowledge aspect, and the force which is there in the physical world. So these representations are there, and the Ananda is your emotions. So all these things you reduce to the maximum. Its bent is to reduce these representations to their barest and most general terms, and to subtilize or subtilize even these, if possible, into some final attraction. The pure intellectual direction travels away from life. Now, if you remember, in the second or third chapter, the threefold life, he discusses very clearly that the mental life, okay, distances itself from the ordinary vital and physical life. It distances itself. It tries to go into a shell and only concentrates on its own ideas. So he is repeating that here in different words. The pure intellectual direction travels away from life. We are not bothered too much about the physical and the vital aspects. We are more in the mind. In judging things, it tries to get back from their effects on our personality and to arrive at whatever general and impersonal truth may be behind them. We try to generalize everything. It is inclined to treat that kind of truth as the only real truth of being, or at least as the one superior and permanent power of reality. Therefore, it is bound by its own nature, the nature of the philosophical mind, to end in its extremes at an absolute impersonality and an absolute abstraction. Satchidananda, okay, absolute abstraction. This is where the ancient philosophies end. Okay? The normal philosophies. He's talking of the Upanishads mainly, not the Gita. Okay? Ancient philosophy, he's talking about the Upanishads mainly. They reduce everything to three abstractions: existence, consciousness, and bliss of being. Existence, Sat. Consciousness, Chit. Bliss of being, Ananda. The rest is all being eliminated. And they tended to get rid of the two of these three, which seemed dependent on the first and most abstract, and to throw all back into pure featureless existence from which everything else had been discharged. All representations, all values, except the one infinite and timeless fact of being. So, note the word, pure featureless existence. That's a Sat. And that what is a Sat? It's the subtlest and the purest and one single substance. Okay? I always insist on this, that the Sat, we often translate Sat as truth. Okay? But in a spiritual experience, it is the substance that you are seeing. It's one substance which is absolutely static, immutable, infinite, eternal. That's what you're seeing. The rest of it is not important because the consciousness aspect is not there so much. In the Jnana Yoga, in particularly Raj Yoga also, you experience the Sat aspect mainly. And the rest are all eliminated. They are absorbed into the sat, okay, into the substance, the subtlest of substance, pure featureless existence, from which everything else has been discharged. The ananda is not there, okay? Because very often when you experience only that nirvana consciousness, there is no ananda, or the aspect of consciousness also is not there most of the time. All representations, all values, no value at all, just an abstraction, substance, except one infinite and timeless fact of being. Now, very interesting discussion, the next one. But the intellect has still one farther possible step to take, and it took it in the Buddhistic philosophy. So, abstraction can be, if you go logically to the end, it becomes absolute abstraction. Okay? So that's what Buddhism did. Took it in the Buddhistic philosophy. It found that even this final fact of existence was only a representation. Even the substance is only a representation. Representation of what? Total nihil. Okay? Nothing at all, featureless at its absolute. It abstracted that also and got into an infinite zero, which might be either a void or an eternal inexpressible. So Srimla is giving you a hint already of how this can be interpreted or misinterpreted. An infinite zero, nihil, okay? Shunyam in the Buddhistic philosophy. See, Shunyam in two ways. One is devoid of all features. Absolute nihil, nothing at all there. Devoid, not only devoid of all features, devoid of all everything. That's it, absolute nirvana. And that also in spiritual experience, if a soul decides to do that, that's exactly what it does. It disappears into the infinite. Never again to take birth again. It just disappears from existence. That's the Buddhistic idea. You can do that. You can dissolve your body dissolves, your vital dissolves, your mind dissolves, even your soul can dissolve into the infinite soul if you want. But Srimla is saying, which might be either a void, okay, a void means really nothing at all, or an eternal inexpressible. It's like the seed. If you cut up the seed, you will never see fruits and flowers in it. But it is a oneness which contains all the possibilities. So that would take you to the Advaita philosophy. Yes, the ultimate truth is a nihil, it's a substance, but it's not an absolute nihil. It's a positive nihil. It contains all and it can issue out of its featurelessness every possible feature it can reduce. Then you will go to the Advaita philosophy, Vedanta. Okay, so that's what he's saying. Okay, clear? So this is what happened to Srimla also, no? In fact, in his case, if you read that letter to Dilip Kumar Roy, absolutely no emotion of any sort, nothing. The whole world is absolutely nothing, just shadow play of images. So you have, and that's the only reality. So naturally, the emotions don't come in. Okay, so we go to the next one now. The heart and life. We have spoken about the mind. Now he's going, because the chapter is the divine personality. He is telling you how you can experience the divine personality. Remember that story we had about Totapuri and Ramakrishna. Okay, so that is the gist of the whole thing. Where is the next one? The heart and life. So who will read now? Kiran, you have not read for a long time. Would you like to read?
Yes, Rangada.
Go ahead. The heart and life.
The heart and life, as we know, have an exactly opposite law. They cannot live with abstractions. They can find their satisfaction only in things that are concrete or can be made seizable. Whether physically, mentally, or spiritually, the object is not something which they seek to discriminate and arrive at by intellectual abstraction. A living becoming of it or a conscious possession and joy of their object is what they seek. Nor is it the satisfaction of an abstract mind or impersonal existence to which they respond, but the joy and the activity of a being a conscious person in us, whether finite or infinite, to whom the delights and powers of his existence are a reality. Therefore, when the heart and life turns towards the highest and the infinite, they arrive not to an abstract existence or non-existence, a sat or else a nirvana, but at an existent, a sat purusha, not merely at a consciousness, but a conscious being, a Chaitanya Purusha, not merely at a purely impersonal delight of the is, but at an infinite I am of bliss, an Anandamay Purusha, nor can they emerge and lose his consciousness and bliss in featureless existence, but must insist all on three in one. For delight of existence is their highest power, and without consciousness, delight cannot be possessed. That is the sense of the supreme figure of the intensest Indian religion of love, Sri Krishna, the all blissful and all beautiful.
Okay, so now he's talking about the heart, the Bhakti Yoga. The heart and life, as we know, have an exactly opposite law. Okay? It's very interesting. Those who are, they want to use the mind, they don't allow emotions to come in, because then your judgment, mental judgment will be falsified. It will be distorted. So they don't allow any emotion to come in. Because emotions are at our level quite impure. But if you can eliminate that, the mental, which is also impure, but it will be less impure if you don't allow the emotion to color your judgment. Okay, so that's what he's saying. The heart and life, as you know, have exactly an opposite law. So what are these laws? The laws of mind are clarity, emotionlessness, and cold, absolutely cold. Okay, and exactly the opposite. The heart has full of emotion. Clarity is not so much interested, but the positive aspect of enjoyment, that is there. Okay, and also it is warm. It's the opposite of the cold. It is a warm. So, okay? You get these images. Those who see visions, they know that when you are going towards the mind, okay, they always talk of the coldness. You go north. That's why the north is a symbol of the mind, and the south, which is warm, at least in India. Okay, so that is the sign of the. I thought somebody had come. So that is a sign of the heart. Okay, the emotions. So can be resolved. They cannot live with abstractions. The physical wants concrete things, and the vital also wants emotions. They can find their satisfaction only in things that are concrete and can be made seizable. There you are. Okay? Other one is not feasible. You are escaping from everything which is concrete. Whether physically, mentally, or spiritually, their object is not something which they seek to discriminate and arrive by intellectual abstraction. Now the word discriminate, the word is, in the Sanskrit you have the viveka. The two master words of the Jnana Yoga are vichara and viveka. Discrimination is absolutely important to arrive at by intellectual abstraction. Eliminate all the things which are useless and come to the main thing. When you do that, you get the Sat aspect. A living becoming of it. A living becoming of it, conscious, okay? Or a conscious possession and joy of their object is what they seek. Okay? You have to become what you are imagining. I'm using a word which doesn't exist in the spiritual field, but when you experience the Sat, it's not an imagination, it's an absolute reality. But here, the heart is always wanting something which they can live out. Note interestingly that in the spiritual experience of the nirvana, you are not able to bring down that knowledge and peace into the physical world. You are not able to do that. It takes time. Okay? Srivanda also had the same difficulty. He says in a letter that after he got the peace of the silent mind, he had great difficulty in pulling it down into the normal life. Okay? The peace doesn't come so easily. Pulling down is much more difficult than ascending. You go up, you can experience it there. But when you come down onto the ground floor, you have a lot of difficulty in making it a fact. But this is exactly what the heart wants. That's what he's saying. Okay? The object, what they see, possession and joy and conscious possession. Nor is it the satisfaction of an abstract mind of impersonal existence to which they respond, but the joy and activity, joy corresponding to emotion and activity corresponding to the physical, okay, of a being. A conscious person in us, okay, whether finite or infinite. Now look how Swayambhu is using of words, and we have to understand what he means by that. A conscious person, first of all, P-cap person, which is your central being, which is your true being, not your ego and your body, mind, life, but the true person. And what is that? It can either be finite or it can be infinite. The finite is obviously the psychic being, and the infinite is the self. So both are, so Swayambhu calls the person, or he also calls it the central being. Okay. The psychic is an ambassador of the self. Okay. You can take it that way. That's why you can speak of it as finite to begin with. It can merge with the self to become infinite. Okay. But the finite is certainly the psychic, and the infinite is the self, to whom the delights and powers of his existence are a reality. Therefore, when the heart and life turn towards the highest and the infinite, they arrive not at an abstract existence or non-existence. Now, again, you can see here how he is being very accurate. Abstract existence, the Buddhistic ideal of a nihil, or non-existence, okay. Abstract existence is the positive sat, and the non-existence is the Buddhistic negative sat, okay. A sat or else a nirvana, but at an existent, note the word existent, okay. The difference between existence and existence is this. The Jnana Yoga path experiences the existence, the infinite, eternal, immutable being. Okay, that's the existence. But the existent is the personal aspect of that. Okay. So, a Sat Purusha. Okay. Now, very interesting, he's saying that substance which you are seeing turns out to be a conscious being. Okay. A Sat Purusha. Not merely at a consciousness, but at a conscious being. A Chaitanya Purusha. Chaitanya used in the sense of Chit, adjective to Chit. So Chaitanya Purusha is a conscious being that you experience. In the Jnana Yoga path, is not, no conscious being is there at all. Nobody is there. It's just an existence. Okay? Not merely at a purely impersonal delight of the is. Now, what is that is with an I cap? Existence. Okay? But at an infinite I am of bliss and Anandamaya Purusha. So I am, personality is coming in. The is, there is no personality. There is just an abstract existence. Okay? Interesting word he is using. Okay, I is with an I cap, existence. And infinite I am the personal aspect, okay, of bliss and Ananda Purusha. Nor can they emerge and lose their consciousness and bliss in featureless existence, but must insist on all three in one. For delight of existence is their highest power, and without consciousness, delight cannot be possessed. That also you can think of. Huh? So, delight is something that someone is experiencing the delight. Who is experiencing? In the other path, even if there is Ananda, it is impersonal. But here in the Bhakti path, it is not like that. Without consciousness, delight cannot be possessed. That is the sense of the supreme figure of the intensest Indian religion of love, Sri Krishna, the all blissful and the all beautiful. So Swayambhu is using English words, but the all blissful Sarva Ananda and all beautiful Sarva Sundara. These are the words usually used for Sri Krishna. So, and also note of interestingly that if you go through the psychic, okay, it is very, very satisfying, the relationship. But it's a dualistic part. You have a relation with the divine, but it is possible also for the psychic being to merge in the self. That possibility also is there. Then you get everything. That's why Srivada's path, he always insists that start from the psychic. Don't go the way of the mind, because the mind can delude you, and also it can be a dry path. The path of the psychic is not dry. It's full of emotion and love. It's very rich. He says that. And that's why there is a huge concept in Shivam Guru, the sunlit path. The sunlit path is when your psychic is in the front of your nature, nothing is negative for you. Even the worst difficulties are, you see it as something coming from the divine trying to teach you something. So that's a sunlit path. No difficulties at all. I'm not saying problems won't be there. Problems will be there, but the problems are not seen as some obstacle and something negative. They are seen as absolutely something that's going to teach you something. So that is the sense of the supreme figure of the intensest Indian religion of love, Sri Krishna, the all beautiful, the all blissful and the all beautiful. We go to the next para. So Archana has read, Kiran has read, Shilpa, if she is there, are you there, Shilpa?
Yes, Rangat, I am there.
Okay, then you read the next one, and Smuti will read the last one.
Okay.
By the way, Pallavi is in Singapore, and she has texted me that she is looking after her grandchild, so she is unable to join sometimes. Sometimes she does join, but sometimes she can't. Read the intelligence.
The intelligence can also follow this trend, but it ceases then to be the pure intellect. It calls in its power of imagination and it becomes the image maker, the creator of symbols and values, a spiritual artist and poet. Therefore, the severest intellectual philosophy admits the Saguna, the divine person, only as the supreme cosmic symbol. Go beyond it to reality, and you will arrive, it says, at last to the Nirguna, the pure impersonal. The rival philosophy asserts the superiority of the Saguna, that which is impersonal, it is that which is impersonal is, it will perhaps say, only the material, the stuff of his spiritual nature, out of which he manifests the power of his being, consciousness, and bliss. All that expresses him, the impersonal is the apparent negative out of which he loses the temporal variation of his eternal positive of personality. There are evidently here two instincts, or if we hesitate to apply that word to the intellect, two innate powers of our being which are dealing each in its own manner with the same reality.
Okay, so a small para, not a big one. We'll have a quick look at it. The intelligence can also follow this trend. Now that's an interesting thing, because this is also a principle that you must imagine that the spiritual life is not something rigid and each path is different, and there is difference, but it can also merge and exchange also. There are no clear-cut dividing lines between all these things. That's why it is so difficult sometimes to describe the spiritual experiences. They run into each other like rainbow colors. Okay? So it's difficult to distinguish. So now he's saying something which has been saying almost the opposite. Now he's saying the intelligence can also follow this trend. This which trend? The trend of Ananda. Okay? But it ceases then to be the pure intellect. There you are. The pure abstract intellect gets muddied. Muddied not in a negative sense, but muddied with the emotions. Its substance becomes different. Okay? It calls in its power of imagination to its aid. Which one? The intelligence. You imagine that the divine is in a form. It becomes the image maker. The mind becomes an image maker, the creator of symbols and values, the spiritual artist and poet. It's Emperor's language. Even his prose becomes poetry. Spiritual artist and poet. Therefore, the severest intellectual philosophy admits a saguna, the divine aspect of the divine with qualities. The quality, as you says, Saguna, the divine person. The Saguna is the aspect of the, is a result of the Bhakti path. The Saguna, the divine person. Again, you note the PCAP, the personal aspect of the divine. Only as a supreme cosmic symbol. It's a symbol. Okay? Go beyond it to reality, and you will arrive, it says, at last to the Nirguna, the pure impersonal. So, this is the three things. Shankara is the, he says that the Shankara and Ramanuja, okay, they go to the Nirguna aspect. But Shankara also goes to the Saguna aspect, because all his yeah, exactly. Both Shankara has beautiful bhajans.
But he used Krishna as a ladder to ascend to the
That's
divine.
right, exactly. So Nirguna is person. The rival philosophy asserts the superiority of the Saguna. Now, simply just one sentence is saying, usually the Jnana Yoga path and the Bhakti Yoga path clash. And they say that we are superior and Jnana Yoga says we are superior. The argument usually being given is Jnana Yoga ends in one and the Bhakti Yoga ends in two. You need a relationship with the divine. If you want a relationship, you have two. So naturally, this unity is far superior to the division. That's the argument given. The Sangha, of course, does not agree with that. Okay, so the rival philosophy asserts the superiority of the Saguna. That which is impersonal is, okay, it will perhaps say, only the material, this stuff of a spiritual nature, out of which he manifests the powers of his being, consciousness and bliss. All that expresses him. Okay? The rival philosophy is the lesson. The Bhakti path is yours is an abstraction, ours is a concrete thing. That's the argument will be. Okay? That which is abstraction, how can it be full of ananda? It cannot be. Okay, that's what it is. That which is impersonal is, it will perhaps say, only the material, this stuff of the spiritual nature, out of which he manifests the powers of his being, consciousness and bliss. All that expresses him. The impersonal is the apparent negative, out of which he loses his temporal variations of his eternal positive of personality. Now, loses, the word lose is like issuing out. Okay, using in the sense of losing in the issuing out. It's let's lose, let it come out. Okay? Of which is the temporal variations of the eternal positive of personality. The positive of personality with a lower case is your body, mind, life. Okay, but at the universal level, matter, life, and mind. So, but it is positive. Don't think that it is negative. That's what it is. There are evidently here two instincts. One is the intellect and one is the heart. Or if we hesitate to apply that word to the intellect, okay, because instinct, intellect, there's no instinct in intellect, there's only knowledge. The two innate powers of our being, which are dealing each in its own manner with the same reality. There is a quarrel between the Jnana Yoga and the Bhakti Yoga path. So, okay, we read the last one. We have 6 minutes, we can read. It's a very small paragraph. Both the ideas of the intellect.
Both the ideas of the intellect, its discriminations, and the aspirations of the heart and life, their approximations have behind them realities at which they are the means of arriving. Both are justified by spiritual experience. Both arrive at the divine absolute of that which they are seeking. But still each tends, if too exclusively indulged, to be hampered by the limitations of its innate quality and its characteristic means. We see that in our earthly living, where the heart and life followed exclusively failed to lead to any luminous issue, while an exclusive intellectuality becomes either remote, abstract, and impotent, or a sterile critic or dry mechanist. Their sufficient harmony and just reconciliation is one of the great problems of our psychology and our action.
Very difficult to combine the two. But clarity as well as emotion. In fact, these scientists say, don't import your emotions into all these things. Look at it calmly and quietly without your interference from the vital and the body. Don't let that happen at all. For instance, if someone is studying wildlife and he is studying the behavior of lions, okay, he is watching, and the lion jumps on a small, innocent, little, beautiful little lamb, your emotions will be hurt and you want to go and save that lamb. But when you're a scientist, you can't do that. You have to hold back your emotions and let that happen, because that's exactly what you're studying. So the mind doesn't allow. When it has to function perfectly, it doesn't allow the mind to come. The truth is, this truth is at the lower level. At the higher level, of course, knowledge and emotion can merge, okay? But not at the lower level. They are enemies. That's why he's saying at the end, the sufficient harmony and just reconciliation is one of the great problems of our psychology and our action. I read each sentence. Both the ideas of the intellect. Both the ideas, which one? The one that says, I want only abstraction, and the one that says, no, I want also a little bit of emotion. Okay? It's discriminations. Note the word again, discrimination. And the aspirations of the heart and life, they are opposites. Their approximations have behind them realities at which they are the means of arriving. Both are justified. Both are justified by spiritual experience. Both arrive at the divine absolute of that which they are seeking. One wants the absolute, infinite, eternal truth, and the other one wants a deepest possible love and devotion. But still, each tends, if too exclusively indulged, there you are, okay? If too exclusively indulged, to be hampered by the limitations of its innate quality. Look at the language. Even the innate quality of something, okay, it's a limitation. Why aren't you enlarging yourself and going to other things also? Okay. And its characteristic means we see that in our earthly living, where the heart and life followed exclusively, fail to lead to any luminous issue. Those who are emotional, they are very often, there's no clear thinking at all. So, fail to lead to any luminous issue. While an exclusive intellectuality becomes remote, abstract, and impotent. Impotent, incapable of any action. Impotent, or a sterile critic, or dry mechanist. The path of Jnana Yoga is supposed to be very dry. Their sufficient harmony and just reconciliation is one of the great problems of our psychology and our action. So, there you are. Interesting discussion. Sri Aurobindo himself, remember, he started with the impersonal aspect of the divine. Peace, calm, okay? Unconnectedness. Nothing is affecting him at all. But he didn't like the Mayavadins, he didn't think that that's the ultimate. He waited. Okay? That's why there is in Life Divine, in the 3rd chapter, I think, the very first paragraph, he says that when you go to the silence of mind and go to the self, 3 possibilities are there. One is you see the physical world as unreal and you reject it. That's a Mayavada and the Buddhistic path. The other is you are in a cosmic consciousness. When you are in a cosmic consciousness, then the world is not unreal for you. How can it be unreal when you are in the world and the whole world is in you, spiritually? So, and the third is that you see the physical world as unreal and yet you don't jump to early conclusions, premature conclusions. You wait patiently. That's exactly what Sri Aurobindo did. And he saw that so-called emptiness is getting filled. Filled with what? Filled with knowledge, filled with power, and filled with devotion. That's what he said. So, we have done 4 paras or 5 paras we have done today, because they're all very small.
This is in the Life Divine 3rd chapter beginning.
Pardon?
third chapter of the Life Divine
I think so. I think he says that the self can give you three options. He says. Okay, so 8:40. Au revoir, everybody. Have a nice day.
Sure, Ranga.